Thank you for joining me to learn a little bit more about the Department of Psychology at Seton Hall University in this virtual pirate preview video. I know that you have a lot of materials available to you today, so I'm going to keep this fairly brief. In addition, I've asked some of our students and other faculty members if they could contribute as well so that you can hear a variety of voices to help you learn a little bit more about what we have to offer. My name is Dr. Mary Ann Lloyd, and I'm a professor of psychology, finishing my 14th year here at Seton Hall. Several of you should have already been getting emails from me, as that's been my job to reach out to admitted students in the department, so we might have even already had some correspondence when you had questions. I'm going to focus today on a few of the highlights, but before I do this, I'm going to ask Dr. Eric Pachaski indirectly to contribute to the presentation. He was supposed to be my co-presenter, and so when we went virtual, I asked if he'd be willing to share what he likes best about working at Seton Hall. And here's Dr. Pachaski's response. What he really likes after 3 years working at Seton Hall are the students, particularly the way that they're very interactive and creative and how they're able to make connections across topics during classes in unique ways. And the other thing he commented on is the level of grit that students show. And this comes from positive psychology and has to do with someone's passion and perseverance over time. And so he noticed that Setonians are particularly gritty and that they manage to make progress on the things that matter to them, even when obstacles are presented. So I'm not surprised that Dr. Pachaski, when we had this obstacle of having a live presentation, also noticed that this is something that he's seen his students overcome with their great grit. So the first thing I want to make sure that I express to you that I consider a highlight of the psychology department is our curriculum. During your first or second semester, you'll take a class called the Orientation to the Psychology major. In this class, we're going to help you focus on how you fit in to the department. Should you be a BA major or a BS major? What kind of opportunities do you want to make sure that you achieve during your time as an undergraduate student? And also, what might you like to set yourself up for later? So this is a 1-credit class. The other thing that's nice about it is you'll take it with all other psychology majors, so you'll get to know people who are also pursuing the same degree as you. The other reason we started this class is because we thought it might help some students realize that instead of psychology, they might be better off in a related discipline, but not the same. So maybe social work or criminal justice or sociology. And we really want Setonians to be successful and happy in their major, whether that's sticking with psychology and getting the most out of it, or going to something that's a better fit for their talents and interests. In addition to this 1-credit class, we've set up our curriculum to have some required courses, but a lot of flexibility within the topical areas of psychology. So you'll take a class in each of 5 major areas. For my area, that's cognitive, and we have several options. We also have options in all of the other fields. But then you'll also get to take electives, so you can take more in the subtopics that are interesting to you. The next thing that I really appreciate about the Seton Hall Psychology Department is the requirement that all students get direct experience. For the vast majority of students, this comes from doing an internship, maybe at a mental health facility or with a police department or in a human resources department, because these are all places that people with psychology degrees can end up working. Other students who are interested in research end up working in a faculty member's lab. So every semester, I work with 2 to 4 undergraduate students, both on my own work, that of my honors students, and that of graduate students. And this allows you to see how the research that you're reading about in your classes comes to life in a direct experience. By doing these internships or research work, you not only set yourself up to be more successful on the job market if you're going to be a workforce graduate, but also if you're interested in pursuing graduate work. The third thing that I think is really great about the department are the people. And so Dr. Pachaski already previewed that the students he finds really great to work with, and I would agree. I might not use the same words that he does because he's a clinical psychologist and I'm a cognitive psychologist, so we tend to focus on different things, but I definitely enjoy teaching my courses very much, and so do my colleagues in the department. We're a faculty that's very centered around excellence in teaching. We meet regularly to discuss strategies and to make changes to make sure that we're giving the best opportunities to our students. The other thing that I think I've heard students talk about is that the energy in the department is very positive and that students are collaborative as opposed to competitive. And this was something that came up when I asked students to submit videos about their experience. So if you're interested in going to a school in which there's a small faculty that's research active with students who are friendly, I think that making Seton Hall your choice is an excellent one. And the last highlight is you. So if you come to Seton Hall, you're going to bring your own talents, your own interests, your own perspectives, and that's going to enliven and enrich classrooms. So I would welcome you to get in touch with me to answer any questions. I'm happy to have a phone call or a video chat. I want to help you understand more about Seton Hall and how it can be a better fit for you. Thank you for your time and take care.
Hi, I'm Dr. Paige Fisher. I'm a professor in the psychology department at Seton Hall. And what I want to do with this presentation is just give you a little snippet of what it might be like to be in an intro psych class. That's one of the classes I teach at Seton Hall. It's actually one of my favorite classes to teach. And I want to just try and approximate a little aspect of it. Obviously, this is quite different than what it would be even if we were together at Pirate Pewview. Certainly if we were all in class together, you being my students, but hopefully this can give you a little sense. As it says written down, you're going to need something to write on, either type or handwrite. So just before you continue with the presentation, make sure you have that. And if you need to start it again, just do that. Okay, so the topic for today that we're going to focus on is how trustworthy is our memory. We obviously all have a memory. Some of us have quote unquote better memories than others. And one of the things that we do in psychology is really try and think about aspects of our behavior, our mental processes, our emotions that we just kind of take for granted. Psychology tries to look at them and think more about how things work and limitations, etc. So we're going to touch on that a little bit today. What we're going to do is an exercise to start off with where I'm going to read a list of words. When I'm done reading the list, I'm going to say write. When I say write, I want you to in some way write down or type all the words you can remember from the list that I said. Then after that, we'll kind of do a little bit more with it and we'll see how that goes. All right, so get ready. I'm about to start the list. Thread, pin, eye, injection, syringe, sewing, sharp, point, hurt, knitting, prick, thimble, haystack, pain, right. If you're done writing, just hang out for a sec. I'll give people a little more time. Usually I can look at you to see who needs more time, but I'll just estimate. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is say some words. And for just yourself, usually we'd raise hands, but we're not going to do that. Just for yourself, note whether this was a word that you wrote down. And if you didn't write it down, was it a word that you recognized? You remember me saying that word? Okay, so we're going to do that for a couple of words. Pain. Did you write that word down? And if not, do you remember me saying that word? Point. Did you write that word down? And if not, do you remember it? Thread. Again, did you write it down? Do you remember it? Needle. Did you write it down? Did you remember it? So I'm going to stop here and let you know that I did not actually say the word needle. Now, if we were all together in person, what usually happens is I get a lot of, oh my God, what? No, you're kidding, you're lying. You can actually go back and re-listen to the recording to confirm that I did not say the word needle, but I did not. And what consistently happens when I do this exercise and other people, have similar exercises in other ways is that a pretty significant part of the group either wrote that word down initially, or if they didn't, recognized it. There's always examples of people who didn't, who were like, nope, that's not one of the words. But for most of us, it's pretty common to at least think that we heard that word initially. So then the question is why? Why is that the case? In our activity, all of the words that I did say connected in some sense to needle. Syringe, pain, haystack. So what's likely happening is our brain is, while it's trying to remember, is also trying to be as efficient and organized as possible, which means making connections between things, thinking about things as a story or in something that hangs together. So the word needle is probably somewhere in our thinking as we're hearing those different words, and then we actually, for many of us, remember it as a word that we heard. What this means in general is that memory is not a videotape or an audio tape. It's actually something we put together, that we create. We use narrative and try to be efficient and organized, which means that the actual data, we fill in holes and gaps and change things around. When we try and remember something, that in and of itself also alters the original memory. There's something that happens in the process of thinking about back to it that changes it. Also, what can happen is if we get information later that calls back to that memory. Maybe we had a fight with a friend and about a week later, we learned something that was going on for them. We will likely actually go back to that original memory and think about it a little differently and focus on different aspects or change things slightly. So in this act of memory construction where we're trying to create a narrative that makes sense, one aspect of what we do has been given a name. It's called the misinformation effect, which means that we, not purposefully, might bring incorrect information into our memory of the event so that we're susceptible to being influenced by other factors to change how we think about what actually happened. This could happen in a couple different ways. It might be our own imagination that can influence it. It might be somebody telling us about something that happened. You can actually create false memories in people by telling them, especially if you're like a trusted source, remember that time when you were a child and this happened to you. Studies in labs have indicated that people can create the sense for individuals of true memories that feel very real, even though that event never happened. Another issue, which is a particular concern if you think about police work and the legal system, is the kinds of questions you ask people when you are trying to get them to recall information can influence what they remember. Misinformation effect has been researched in a lot of different ways. One of the most well-known studies related to this leading question idea was conducted by Elizabeth Loftus and her colleagues. In this study, people came into a lab and watched a video of a car accident. Then everyone went home and came back, and then they were divided into two groups. One group was asked this question: how fast were the cars going when they hit each other? The other group was asked this question: how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? So just think about it for a second. What would you predict would happen? Would these two groups be the same and have similar reports, or would there be differences, and what would the differences look like? Well, it probably won't surprise you then to know that the first group described the accident relatively similar to what actually had happened, and the speeds were somewhat consistent with how fast the cars were going. The second group that was asked how fast cars were going when they smashed into each other reported higher speeds for the cars and remembered the accident as much more destructive, broken glass, things like that, than it actually was. This study and studies like it have actually had some impact on the legal system and police questioning, trying to improve how people are asked about their memories so that it decreases this misinformation effect. So we're going to stop there for today. Obviously, if we were in class together, we'd keep going, but I think this is probably a good place to stop, giving you a snippet of talking about memory. If you have further questions or you want to get in touch, there's my contact information, so feel free to do so. And perhaps I'll see you next year. Thanks so much. Bye.
Hi, I'm Dr. Susan Nolan, and I've been teaching at Seton Hall for almost 21 years. My favorite part about teaching at Seton Hall is getting to know students, particularly outside of the classroom, whether that's in office hours, doing research together, maybe attending an event or a lecture on campus together, or even on a field trip to the United Nations.
Hello, I'm Dr. Fanli Jia. I have been at Seton Hall for 4 years. I teach cultural psychology and I study psychological behavior across different cultures. I enjoy teaching a diverse body of students who have different religious background, gender identities, language, and people from different cultures. I really like students bring their unique and personal experiences and share them in the class discussion. My goal is to prepare students become a global citizens. Welcome to the psychology department at Seton Hall University. I look forward to seeing you in my class.
Hi, my name is Swarthi Datla, and I'm a senior at Seton Hall University. I'm a criminal justice and psychology double major, so it's been really great for me being a psychology major at Seton Hall due to all the amazing experiences and the wonderful professors. So the class sizes at Seton Hall are a little different from other universities. They're really small so that it makes it easier for you to have that one-on-one time with your professors and be able to create a personal relationship with them outside of the classroom. The professors also make it super simple because they're super open and they work just as hard as you to make sure that you're on the right path for yourself. This comes really handy when you need the recommendations for graduate schools, for jobs, or just getting lab experience. Lab experience is also very big at Seton Hall because most of the professors have their labs right on campus and they choose graduate and undergraduate students to work with them, so any hands-on experience you need, it's right on campus. Another great thing about being in the psychology program here is that it's a very close-knit community who's always ready to help. If you need any help with any of your classes or work, there's Psychi, which is the honor society, and they provide you tutoring in any of your classes, even if it's outside of the field. They also help you find internships and lab experience which they feel best fits for you, and any questions you have, any of the older students are willing to help you with that. Another great thing is that there are so many opportunities presented to you. You could be in the honor society, you can be in the clubs, there's so many activities, as well as you're able to attend different psychology conferences throughout the Northeast where you can learn more about future studies and advancements. And if you need any help in affording it, the other students work together and they fundraise the money to be able to make sure you go on the trip. My experience at Seton Hall as a psychology major has been wonderful. I've grown as a person, I've gained a lot of experience, and I've become part of a very welcoming community, and I hope that if you join, your experience is just as amazing as mine.
Hi, my name is Kyla and I'm a junior here at Seton Hall University studying psychology. I wanted to share with you a few reasons why the psychology department at Seton Hall University is so great and it is so good to be a student there in that department. For example, the faculty is very warm and welcoming and they always encourage you to do things outside of your comfort zone. For example, I am now the president of the psychology club, which is a role that I never really thought I'd see myself in, but with the encouragement and support of the faculty in the psychology department, it really helped me get to where I am, and that is something that I am really grateful for.
Hi everyone, my name is Amber and I'm a junior at Seton Hall, and my two favorite parts about being a psychology major is first, the amazing professors that we get to work with every day. They always bring in outside examples and experiences from their time in the field, and it really helps to bring the material to life and gives us a greater understanding of it all. And second is the other students that we get to work with every day as well. It's just really great and really important to be able to form that bond and community with other students who share the same interests and goals as you do within the field of psychology.
My name is Angelina. I'm a senior. It's great to be a psychology major at Seton Hall because the whole community is very close-knit. Both the students and faculty are very supportive. There's always somebody that's there for you if you need help with something, and it really feels like a family.
Hi, I'm Julia Rose Marsh. I'm a senior psychology and criminal justice double major here, and I would want prospective psychology students to know to really get to know your professors, go to office hours. That's helped me so much. It's helped me in gaining research experience, internships, and doing a service learning program here all through the psychology department. And having those relationships with your professors really not only helps you do better in your classes, but sets you up for opportunities for your future.
Hi everyone, I'm Ishani Danielle, and I'm a junior here at Seton Hall, majoring in psychology and minoring in data analysis and international relations. One of my favorite classes here at Seton Hall is abnormal psychology because I really get to know more about the different mental illnesses, as well as how important it is to reduce mental stigma in society. What I really enjoy about the class, more than anything else, is learning about different celebrities and actual people who have gone through mental illnesses or are still suffering from mental illnesses. And I think this really shows how serious the issue of mental illness is in our age, and how we really need to act upon it in these coming years.
My name is Nadi Mishkadi, and I'm a second-year graduate student in the 3+2 Experimental Psychology Master's program here at Seton Hall University. So I've had the unique experience of attending Seton Hall for both my undergraduate courses as well as my current graduate program. When I think back on my time here at Seton Hall, I'm especially thankful for the opportunities that have been provided for students to become involved in psychology outside of a classroom setting. We have numerous student organizations here on campus, including psychology-related ones as well, that have allowed students to not only become more involved on campus, but to also learn more about other opportunities and resources that may exist off campus. It's also encouraged for students to gain hands-on experience through either an internship or even through working as a research assistant in one of the labs alongside a professor and other graduate students on any current research projects. I feel like I've certainly taken advantage of the opportunities here at Seton Hall. I've held leadership positions in a couple student organizations. I've worked as a research assistant in the Behavioral Neuroscience Laboratory, working with animal subjects, as well as collecting data from human participants and working with a couple of the professors in their research. I've also learned about my internship through one of the meetings at Psychology Club, and my first internship I worked at a partial care day program for adults with mental illnesses and developmental disabilities. Currently, I'm interning on one of the psychology teams at the United Nations called International Council of Psychologists. I feel like throughout my involvement at Seton Hall, I've gained a lot of skills and I've developed professionally, and I'm able to now apply it to my internship as well as to the next step when I'm applying for jobs. So for this, I'm certainly thankful that I attended Seton Hall, where I was able to grow and get to where I am now.